Grandpop. Walking through the ornate front doors of the old theater caused a sharp pain of loss to go through him. The old theater had stood empty for years until, according to Jimmy, a slick European entrepreneur nightclub owner and musician manager had reopened a portion of it as a club. As he and his friends entered the showroom of the posh venue, Asher recognized the remaining Art Deco panels and crown moldings intermingling with the modern finishes. A gorgeous, sophisticated-looking hostess showed them to a foretop at the back of the showroom. The show hadn't begun yet, but the place was going to be packed. He gave his drink order to a waitress and examined the well-heeled crowd. Apparently, Rudy and Jimmy hadn't been exaggerating about the woman's popularity. As they waited for their drinks, a man with a microphone introduced Yesenia. The opening notes of an evocative bluesy number resounded through the club. Everyone grew hushed with anticipation. Despite his preoccupation, Asher found himself catching the mood of the crowd. The heavy indigo curtain parted. Another curtain was revealed, a sheer crimson one that was hung to the center and to the right of the dimly lit stage. A four-piece band was situated to the left of the curtain, the musicians' faces fully revealed to the crowd. Manufactured wind gently blew across the red veil, making it ripple in a liquid, sinuous movement. He squinted to see behind it. Was there an outline of a woman emerging from the matrix of light and shadow, or was his imagination playing tricks on him? Suddenly, her voice filled the club in a low, velvet seduction. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. He sat forward in his chair, straining to see behind the undulating veil. The prickling on the surface of his skin amplified, as if his nerves had jumped to life at the sound of her smooth, resonant voice. The vague shadow of her grew clearer, the outline of a woman's body as she subtly moved to the beat of the music. The outline of a beautiful woman's body. "I told you," Rudy muttered smugly to the left of him, but Asher was too focused to respond. He searched for details, obsessively, while her clear, soulful voice echoed in his head and throbbed in his veins. The lyrics were poetic, fraught with longing, and very sexy. The music was bluesy and unique, involving a combination of notes he'd never quite heard before. She wore some kind of pale, clinging dress. The material flowed over her body almost lovingly, caressing every lithe curve. She glided closer to the veil, her hips swaying and pulsing gracefully in time to the music. He realized that, like the curtain, the dress she wore was partially translucent. Beneath the two sheer boundaries, he could make out long, shapely legs and the outline of her shifting pelvis and hips as she moved to the beat. The uncommon prickling of his nerves transferred to his sex. He hardened with amazing speed. "Jesus," he muttered under his breath, a little floored. "She's incredible, isn't she?" Jimmy breathed out. "There's an Arab influence," Asher whispered to himself at the same moment he made the realization. Of course. Yesenia was an Arab name, wasn't it? That was what made her music so unique. Among the jazz, blues, and R&B influence in her song, he recognized the rhythmic intervals he'd often heard in Arabic music during his years in the Middle East and North Africa. For some reason, the realization added an element of uneasiness to his enthrallment. "What did you say?" Jimmy whispered as the band played the final, lingering notes of the ballad and Yesenia stilled. Asher didn't respond. Every nerve in his body tingled. His cock throbbed sharply, as though her voice itself had been caressing that sensitive flesh, and it now protested at her silence. He craned forward in his seat, increasingly irritated by the veil and space that separated him from the singer. "What the hell is wrong with you?"